This is the absolute best AI voice agent that decreases the speed to lead to less than 1 minute by calling your prospects instantly. This alone can literally 4x your business. The only thing you have to do is set it up properly. And for you to be able to do so, I've included all the resources, all the tools you need in this video. You just have to watch it through. The AI agent is getting triggered by a form submission on your website, for example, from a lead generation form, and it utilizes vapi.ai, make.com, OpenAI, and I use Google Calendar and Google Sheets as a CRM, as a demo CRM, but you can use any other CRM too if you already have one implemented. And let's not waste any more time. Let's get started. Our first stop today is this online HTML viewer. I've used this to create a basic lead generation form, which will then, by submitting this form, trigger the workflow. You can use your own lead generation form on your website, for example. I've just created this one as a demo for you. You can get this code with the other resources too. The only thing you have to change is the webhook. This is the webhook here. This is my webhook. You will not be able to see it because then you could trigger my workflow, and we don't want that. And I will just show you in a second how you can add your own webhook there. And this webhook basically just triggers the workflow and then submits the information you put in here. Just know you can change anything you want in here, but for just testing this workflow out also for yourself, you can just leave it as is and just change the webhook here. Our next step is going to make.com. I will include a link to make.com in the video description below, and you will go to scenarios and then create a new scenario. Now you could go ahead and just build a workflow yourself by just adding all the modules you want to have, but you don't have to do that. I've included the blueprint for all the 4 workflows we need, and you can just download them and then import them here into the scenarios. Just hit the 3 dots down here and import blueprint. The first scenario we want to build is the lead to CRM and create outbound call. So select this and click save. This is the first workflow. We have a webhook here, one Google Sheets, another Google Sheets, and the vapi module. Hook gets triggered when the form is submitted. This is the webhook link I was talking about earlier. So we will just gonna create a webhook, name it form submission, and then hit save. And then you will go ahead and copy this address to clipboard, copy, hit OK, and then go to the HTML online viewer again. In the HTML viewer, you can go to line 211. It should be the same line for you too, and paste your link into these brackets here. Just paste it in. And now when you submit the form, the workflow gets triggered and all the information is getting sent to the workflow, to the webhook. And in order to be able to continue with this setup, we will trigger it once. So go to make.com, right click, run this module only. And then you will go to the HTML viewer and fill in the form with sample information. Click those 2 checkboxes and then submit the form. And now your webhook should have received the information. And if it looks like this, all is good. Now we can continue with the Google Sheets modules. For the Google Sheets modules, you will have to do a connection between make.com and Google first, but that's quite simple. You can do it yourself. And the first Google Sheets module is a search rows. This search rows module takes the information from the webhook we already got, in this case the email address, and searches the sheet if the email address has already been entered once. If there is a match, the filter here will not continue with the other steps, and therefore the whole workflow won't work. This is because we don't want duplicates. If we already have a lead entered in our CRM, we don't want the same lead to be entered again and to go through all the steps the other leads are also going through, and they already probably got through once. So the first module is quite simple. Select the spreadsheet, the demo CRM, which I will provide below too, as the spreadsheet ID. The sheet name is sheet 1. This table contains headers, yes, and the column range is A to CZ. Maybe for you to understand it a bit better, I will just show you the demo CRM and how it looks. So this is the demo CRM. I have a header line here with the first name, last name, email, phone, company, website, and then a called yes or no. So these are all the information we get from the form, and the other information we will get to later. And the called yes, no just tells us if the lead has been called. And when the call is done, the no will change to a yes. So we know that the lead has been contacted and called already. And since we want to search for the email, we will put a filter in here. Email is D. This is what we want to filter for. And then should be equal to the email address here. By the way, if you don't run the webhook first, this will not show up. So you have to run the workflow first, or the webhook first, in order for this to work. And how this works is we double check the email we get from the webhook here. So the email that has been submitted to us, we check it with the emails that are already in the CRM. How do we know if the lead has already been entered into the CRM or not? If the email checked by the email that got submitted to us returns 0, the lead is not in the CRM. And that's what we are checking for. So we are looking for getting a 0 out of this module here, which means if we run this module once, we can enter a email here. Let's just take my personal email here, press OK, and we will get a total number of bundles, 0. This is what we want to have. If this number is 0, then the email address has not been entered yet. And in order to make sure that all the email addresses that have been entered already, so if this is not 0, that they do not proceed to the next step, we can add a filter between those two modules by clicking on these 3 dots here. And the filter is total number of bundles. So this is the result from this module equal to 0. The next step is the Google Sheets module that will add the lead into the demo CRM itself. Here you have to select the demo CRM again. It looks a bit different, but it's basically the same. You just have to find the path where the demo CRM is located in your Google Drive. And then you add the sheet 1, contains headers, yes. The next few informations are all the information we got from the lead form. So the first name is something we got from the lead form. The last name is the full name. That's just a wrong name of the variable. It's the last name, not the full name, but it's fine. You can map it as full name here. Then the email address, the phone number, the company name, and then finally the website. And below the website, we have the called yes or no, and we will put a no in here because at this point in time, the lead hasn't been called. In order to save, press OK. And then let's proceed to the next step, which is the vapi outbound call. This is where the workflow gets, oh, okay, there's a new entry in the CRM. Let's call it. And let's call it immediately to reduce the speed to lead. This is the module that will 4x your business, like this one here. So click on it. And as you can see, you have a few different fields. Customer phone number is straightforward. This is just the phone number from the lead who has submitted the form. You can map that by going to the webhook and phone. And the customer name is just the combination of the first name here and then the full name with a space in between. What we will also include is the assistant ID and the phone number ID. These two are information we get from vapi.ai directly, and I will show you how to get this right now. All right, so you can go to vapi.ai with the link in the description down below, and you will just try for free, make an account, and then you will go to the dashboard. First, we want to create an assistant. I have already a few assistants here. We will use Sunny for this video's purposes, but you will have to create one of your own. Just go on create assistant, can name the assistant on whatever here, doesn't really matter. And then you can either choose a template or you can choose blank template. For this video, you should probably choose blank template because I can provide you with all the prompts and then you don't have to change up the prompts that are already existent. The prompts I'm talking about is 1, the first message, and 2, the system prompt. The first message is obviously, like the name says, the first message the assistant will say. And the system prompt is used to, like the description says here, configure the context, role, personality, and instructions for the assistant. The system prompt here is really short and really straight to the point. This is not a prompt you would use in a real world use case. This task is way too short to actually use it in your business. You would have to define so much more things, but I've kept it really short so I can demo you the conversation and the functionality of the AI setter in the end, and it doesn't just take ages. On the right hand side, you can see the provider and model of the LLM that will be used in the backend. I've just selected OpenAI and ChatGPT 4o mini, and you can leave the knowledge base, temperature, and max tokens as is. At the top here, you can see the cost and the latency, so the time vapi needs to process everything is around 750 milliseconds. Next on to transcriber. Transcriber, just take deepgram and then the language English, since I will use it in English. If you use a different language, then choose a different language, obviously. The voice is the voice that will talk with your customers. For my use case, it doesn't really matter that much. I've just used a professional woman from Cartesia, but you can use like any other voice provider too. I recommend 11 Labs. 11 Labs really has great voices. And you could also configure your own voice there, so that's great. And for additional configuration, I've chosen to actually use a background sound. Next up, functions. Functions are really important for this assistant, but the name is a bit misleading because we don't really actually use functions because their custom functions have been expired. They have a new way to do it, and the new way are tools. So they will use tools. It's basically the same, but just named differently. And we will use two tools. We will use the book slot tool and the check availability tool. I will show you how to configure them later. And these two tools, book slot and check availability, I will show you how to build them later when building the according make.com automation, because we need a webhook from make.com in order to trigger those tools, and we can only get those by doing the automation first. Then a really important function is the enable end call function. This should be turned on, so the AI assistant actually is able to hang up when it notices that the call is ending. Next up, advanced. In advanced settings, we want to enable audio recording. Really important here are three other things. First is the messaging. We have the ability to include a server URL in here. I've put mine in here. You will not have a server URL yet. We will come to that in the last automation. So just keep in mind that we will add something here, but just not yet. And then two other things. First, we have client messages. You will just click on that bar and enable them all. And then in the server messages, we want three. We want the end of call report, we want the transcript and the tool calls. And then the last tab would be the analysis part. You can, for example, prompt how the summary should be written by the AI. Just put in a text in here or don't, it's fine. And the last and most important thing you have to do on this page is publish it. So all the settings you've made are getting saved, and then copy this assistant ID, go back to make.com and put it in here. What's missing now is the phone number ID, and we will get the phone number ID by going back to vapi.ai. Obviously, in order to make a phone call, we do need a phone number. Vapi.ai has the ability to provide phone numbers, so you can buy phone numbers directly on Vapi, but only if you are in US or Canada. If you are in any other country, you need to import a phone number from Twilio. You can do that, it's quite simple, but just so you know, I've bought a phone number in the US here, and if you have a phone number already imported, you will just click on this number below the phone number. This is the phone number ID, and we need that, so copy it. If you don't have a phone number, you can either, like I said, buy a phone number here or import a phone number from Twilio or Vonage here. But since I already have a phone number, I will just copy my phone number ID and paste it in here. Now with this automation is complete. Just hit OK, click Save, and now you can turn the workflow on and test it out. Just submit the form again, and then you can test it out if it works. Now we will create the check availability scenario in make.com. So when during the call, the prospect suggests a date and time, we will be able to look into our calendar and check if this time slot is available for booking, and if not, suggest another time, and if yes, book the prospect right in. In order to do so, create a new scenario, and again, hit import blueprint, and we will use the speed to lead, check availability, and save. So this one is way bigger and a bit more intimidating maybe, but just bear with me, it's not that complicated. The first thing we have in front here again is again a webhook. We will create a webhook, and this webhook will be triggered when in the phone call the AI agent wants to check if a set time and date is available. So we will just call this check availability and hit save. This is also the moment tools from Vapi come into play. We will copy this address to our clipboard, hit OK, go again to the Vapi dashboard, hit tools, and this is where you create those tools. This is what I was talking about when we were setting up the assistant. You will hit new tool, make.com, and this server URL is why we need to create the webhook first, because we will paste our webhook URL in there, hit save, click onto next. In the next step, we will add properties. The first property we will add is times. This is the time that the prospect suggests for booking. And we have click save first, and have another property which is called another tool available slots, and these are the free calendar time slots. Hit save, next, give the tool a name, and the name is check availability, and then a short description. This should be really short, and yeah, that's it. Click next again. You can define a start message, a delayed response message, a success message, and an error message here. And I won't do that now. You can also do that later, and then just hit create. I've created this already, so I will hit close. And this is how it look like. So you have the integration with your webhook here, then have the details here, so the tool name, the tool description, the times, so the user's requested appointment time, day and time, for example, Wednesday, 8 p.m. And then the available slots. So these are the slots that are available in our calendar. This is the first tool. I have not specified any of the tool messages down below, and you will just hit save and save here. When the tool is set up, you will go back to make.com. You need to test out the webhook in order to get the information. You will just test it by run this module only, and then you will have to go through the first workflow. So run this module only. Go to the HTML online viewer, type anything, just space, backspace, put in your information again, hit submit. Then the first workflow will be triggered, the call will start, and as soon as the call starts and the tool in vapi.ai gets triggered, this webhook will receive information. So when you ran the webhook, this is also the information you should see again. The next module is a Google Sheets module. Here again, select your Google account. Just select the demo CRM again in the spreadsheet ID. Name the sheet name to sheet 1, and then the range. You can just type in whatever you want there. I, for the sake, put in A2 to Z200 again. The table contains headers, yes, and the header row is A1 to Z1. Run this module once to get the data which is already in there. Next up, we have an OpenAI create a chat completion module. So after you connected your account with the module, this is what you're gonna see. We will use the ChatGPT 4o mini model. For the messages, we have a system prompt and a user prompt. The goal of this module is to determine the date, so the exact date when the user wants to book their appointment. We will provide the LLM with the current date and time, which is done through the now module. You can find it if you go here and then hit now. And the time when the user wants to book their appointment, we will get this through the webhook. And when receiving this information, the LLM will figure out which date the user wants to book and then provide us with a start time and an end time of the date the user wants to book. We will need this in the coming steps, and the reason we do it is because if the user says, I want to book next Tuesday, how is the automation supposed to know what date next Tuesday is? It can't, and so we need to figure this out, and this is how we can make sure that next Tuesday is actually like the correct date the user wants to book. If you scroll further down, you will hit Show Advanced Settings. The response format is a JSON object. You will click Parse JSON. This is important. We would need an extra module for that if you hit no. Max completion tokens 200, and then the temperature 0.1, and I think you can forget about all the other stuff. Hit OK. The next module is an HTTP make a request module. With this, we will fetch all the available spots from our calendar with the correct date we have just figured out with the OpenAI module. For that, I am using cal.com. The reason I use cal.com is you can actually get the free slots in your calendar. With most of the other calendar modules, you can only get the busy slots. So you would need another AI module to reverse engineer with the busy slots, which slots are free then during your work hours. And this is quite complicated, so I just use cal.com for the setup. Obviously, in order to use cal.com, you will need to have an account with them, and I will just show you how you can set it up. So this is cal.com. You will just make an account. This is the page you will land after making your account. Create a new appointment type. I don't know why it's not working for me, but just hit new and then create a new appointment type. And after that, you will go to settings, API keys, and add a new API key. This is the name for the API key. You will hit never expires and then save. And this is your new API key. You will copy that. You will not see this again. It's the same with the OpenAI API key. Just save it somewhere where it's safe and you will find it again. Hit done. First, you need to enter this URL, https api.cal.com/v1/slots. This is the URL which will get all the free slots from your calendar with the method of get. Just hit get here. You will not include headers, but you will include query strings. The first one is the API key. Keep in mind the syntax here is really important. So the key is always big, and then paste your API key in here. The second one is the user ID. Keep in mind this is a big I again. You will find your user ID by going to the cal.com API reference to API v1, then searching users, find all users, enter your API key in the authorization and the query, and then hit send. And then you will get the user ID here. Just copy this and go back to the make.com automation and paste it into user ID. The start time is important and the end time is important. This is the date where we will fetch the free slots. So we will just take the start time, which is coming from the OpenAI parsed result, which is here, start time, and then the end time, which is also coming from the OpenAI module up above here. The event type ID is the event which you would theoretically create with cal.com. However, we will create ours with Google Calendar. To fetch the free slots though, we still need the event type ID, and you will get the event type ID by going to your events and then just copy the number behind the event types and in front of the question mark. This number here is your event type ID, and you will go back to make.com and paste it in here. The time zone, put in whatever time zone you are in. What is important is the format. So put in Europe/Berlin. That's my, because I'm in Germany currently. Whatever it is for you, you just put it in there. Also, what's important to mention is the format of the start time and end time, because cal.com has a very specific requirements for the time and date slots which are getting communicated via the API to cal.com. You will have to have this exact format. So the format will be achieved in your OpenAI tool, and this is why you need the output example. This is why you need this exact start and end time, because otherwise if you have a different format it won't work. So make sure this is the correct format. The first variable is the day. We want this because we now have the start time and end time of the date when the user wants to book his appointment, but we only want to have the day, so the 9/12/2024, and we do this with the format date. And the second variable is an empty array. The next one is a transform to JSON module. This module gets the data from all the slots and formats it with the day. So we actually have again the right format we need in JSON, because we get the free slots in the HTTP module via data with slots, which is a collection of the different dates. We only have one date in here. And if we open up this, we usually have different times here. This is only one time now, but normally we have different times here. And in order to process this data, we need to put it in this format, hit OK. The next module is again OpenAI, create a chat completion. In this module, we have again two messages, one system prompt and one user prompt. And the goal of this module is to match the requested time from the user with the available slots from the calendar and see if they match or not. The first message is the system prompt. This is just the context, the instructions and the rules. And basically it says compare the two times, and when the requested time matches the free slots, then print 1. And if the requested time is not available, print 0. This allows us to, in the next step, then filter how we proceed from here. And in the user prompt, we will provide the calendar times from the JSON module beforehand, then the time when the user wants to book, and then the current date and time. So the LLM can evaluate whether the date is in the past or if it's in the future, because we don't want to book appointments in the past, obviously. The response format is text. You can give it a bit more tokens. I have done 500, again, low temperature, so it's not really creative, and hit OK. Then we have a router. This router just splits the workflow in two. Remember, we want either a 0 or a 1 as an output from here. Depending on the output, we will filter the next steps. If we get a 1, meaning if the time that the user wants to book is available, we will trigger a webhook. The webhook basically just tells the vapi.ai agent that the time is available and that he can continue with the process. Really make sure that you get this JSON format right. If it's not correct, then also this webhook won't work. The filter is on the pathway here again. Just click on it, and it's basically the result of this ChatGPT completion is equal to 1. So the output of ChatGPT says the slot is available, then it will continue this way. And the filter on the second way is when the result of this ChatGPT completion is equal to 0. So the time is not available, it will continue this way. We have another JSON formatter here. It's basically the same as we had before. And then another AI chat completion. This chat completion is used for extracting other available times from the available slots we fetched from our calendar. So when the slot which the user wants to book is not available, we can suggest other spots that are available as an alternative. I've told the LLM to include 4 examples, 2 in the morning and 2 in the afternoon. And this is also an example on how to output the data here. We only have a system prompt. We do not have a user prompt here. The response format again is text, and the max completion tokens are 500, quite low temperature as well here. Click OK. And then we have again a webhook. Make sure that this JSON format is correct. It won't work if it's wrong. Just keep that in mind. And for both of those webhooks, what is important is we have 2 things we need to include. We have the tool call ID and we have the result. The tool call ID says the AI agent where it needs to send the information to. So what tool was called, what the purpose of the information is. And the result obviously tells the AI agent what the result of this whole workflow was. And we include the result of the previous chat completion here. So these are the alternative times when booking actually would be available. And yeah, now we're done with the second workflow, with the check availability workflow. We will continue with the next one. For the next scenario, again, create a new scenario. 3 dots, import blueprint. This time we are taking the book slot blueprint. Hit save. And then you will see this. The first thing again is the webhook. We need to choose this webhook. I already created it. You will hit add webhook and then name your webhook. It's not that complicated. I just said book slot. Copy this address to clipboard, hit OK, and then we will switch again over to Vapi, because now we can create the book slot tool, which then will trigger this automation during the call. So go over to Vapi, hit platform, tools, and new tool, paste the server URL in here, hit save, and then continue the setup process like I've already shown before. This is how my book slot looks like. So we have the integration, the webhook is in here. The tool name is book slot. The tool description is use this function to book the appointment after having checked for the slot's availability. So we only use this after the check availability tool. We have 4 properties in here. The name and email are not utilized at the moment, so you can just leave them blank. But what is needed is the selected slot. So this is the time the user requested to book the appointment. And then the available slots, which is the time slots that are available in our calendar. I do not have specified any tool messages here, so you can also just leave this blank and then save. Back in make.com, our next module is the get range values from Google Sheets again. We always need this because we just need the information about our lead, especially when we are booking the calendar event. We will need their email address and their name, and we can just most easily get this from our CRM. So again, choose the demo CRM here, put in your range. This table contains headers, yes, row with headers A1 to Z1, and hit OK. The next module is again OpenAI, create a chat completion. As always, we are using ChatGPT 4o Mini, and here we have again one system prompt and one user prompt. The system prompt instructs the LLM to output the start time of the requested appointment in JSON format. So this is the format: start time, year, month, day, hour, minute, seconds, and then 0. And with those 2 rules, so no appointments earlier than 7 a.m. and no appointments past 7 p.m. And then obviously we need to provide the information in the user prompt. So this is the current date and time, and this is the time when the user wants to book. We will enable the show advanced settings and set the response format to JSON, and again parse the JSON to yes. Max completion tokens 200, temperature 0.1, and then ignore it. Hit OK to save it. And the next step is just for safety and redundancy. We double check the free and busy information from our Google Calendar. Just also create a connection between Make and Google Calendar, and then this is what you will see. So the minimum time is the start time of the event, which you will put out in this OpenAI module, and then the maximum time is the end time of the appointment, which you can calculate by taking the start time and adding 30 minutes to it, because my appointments usually last around 30 minutes. If your appointments are longer, then just put in a different number here. We need to select the calendar ID in which the information is getting checked, and this is tim@eximus.io. In my case, just put in your calendar ID here and hit OK. And the way the Google Calendar module works is it doesn't get the free information, but the busy information. So when we input our data and we get a 0 or an array of the length 0, it means that the slot is free. And this is what we filter in here. So the row above is when the slot is free. We will continue with these 3 steps. And the filter here is the result of this module. If the array length is 0, then we will book the event. And if the array length is greater than 0, we will not book the event, because then the event is not available. This is how the webhook looks like. If the event is not available, again, this is the JSON format. The format here is really important. If the time slot is available, you will create the calendar event. I have created it in detail with my calendar. You can set the color, you can set the event name. I've included the name of the person I want to have the appointment with and my name. It's not an all-day event. The start time is the result we get from here. The end time is like I've done it in the previous Google Calendar module, the start time plus 30 minutes. You could alternatively put in a duration here. If you put in both, so 30 minutes here and 30 minutes here, the appointment will be 1 hour, and we don't want that. You can put in a description, a location. I've not put anything in there. I don't have any reminder settings. What's important are the attendees. This is the information where your lead is getting mapped to. So you have the lead's first name and the lead's last name. I need to remap this because this is not correct. Let's just do this really quickly. Run this module, get the information here. No, this is not correct. And then we can get the first name and then the last name here. And here it's the same. So get the first name space last name, and then for the email address we need to get this email address. So this is the email address for the attendee, for your lead. I want to be shown as busy in a booked calendar, and yeah, you can configure the rest how you want it to, or leave it as is. And after creating the event, we will respond to the vapi tool via a webhook. So we have another webhook with this exact JSON format here. Again, tool call ID needs to be the tool call ID from here, and the result of the workflow is that the time slot was booked for you. Now, when you think back to the demo CRM, we have a column in there which is called lead called, yes or no, and up until now we have no in there because the lead hasn't been called. But now, after we have created the calendar event with the lead together, we update that cell to be yes. So this is the again, map it to the demo CRM sheet 1 cell. You can put in H because it's always the cell in the column H. Let's see, where is it? Column H, called, yes or no. And then the row number, which is gotten from here. So we know which specific cell we need to update with the value yes. Hit OK, save it, and up until the next one. We are making really fast progress here. We are on to the last scenario. Click new one, import blueprint, get the end of call report, and save it. This one is a bit shorter and it's quite simple. As always, the first one is a webhook. You can name it end of call report, hit save, and you have a new webhook URL here. Copy this address to clipboard, hit OK. Once you've copied the URL to your clipboard, go back to the Vapi dashboard, go to assistants, choose your assistant. You will go to advanced and paste the URL in the messaging here. This URL makes sure that when the call is done, the end of call report is being sent to this exact URL. So put it in there and then go back to make.com. For proceeding, you will need to trigger the webhook as always. So right click, run this module. You will have to complete a complete call with your AI agent. So talk with it, set an appointment, and then hang up. And once you hang up, you should receive the information needed for the webhook. Continuing with that, we need to somehow know what lead we just talked to. We do that by having a Google Sheets module with search rows. Click on it, connect the demo CRM, sheet 1. It contains headers, and we filter for the phone number here. So the phone number is an information we get through the webhook, and with the filter here, we just get the row in which this exact phone number is placed. You might be a bit confused on what this all here means, and I'll just explain it real quick. So this here is the customer phone number. So for example, in my case, it would be +49 173 949 3652. This would be my phone number. The only problem now is that in the demo CRM, in the Google Sheets, I do not include the plus in the phone number row, in the phone number column, sorry. So searching for this phone number, we would never get a result, a positive result, because we can't find it since I do not have a plus in here. And with all this here, I just make sure that the phone number which is being searched for is only this one and not this one. Hit OK, and on to the next one. The next one is Google Sheets update a row. Click on it, map the demo CRM, sheet 1, row number is the row number which we are getting from the Google Sheets search rows in the front. This table contains headers yes, then skip the next few entries, go up until website URL, delete the yes. We will update the yes no again to yes, just to make sure that we actually have the yes in there. And in the transcript, map the transcript. This is quite straightforward, but just as a short explanation, the transcript is just what everyone said on the call. The recording URL is where we can listen to the actual audio of the call. The summary is the AI summary of the transcript. So the transcript gets fed into an LLM to summarize it, and the summary is just being pushed into this column here. The ended call reason is, for example, if either your AI ended the call or the user hung up, for example. The call duration in seconds is obviously how long the call went on for. The call costs in dollars is how much the cost of the call was, so how much money you spent on one call. And then the date is when the call took place. Hit OK. And now the last step. You do not have to do this. I definitely wanted to do this, but you don't have to. This is just an email notification to myself when my AI agent has completed a call. So I just send this to 2 of my email addresses. And the subject is that my AI just completed a call. And then who the AI was talking with, the summary of the call, so I can just briefly see what they were talking about. And then I can see the recording URL here to listen to the whole call. Hit OK here, and yeah, that's everything set up. You can just save this workflow right now. And congrats, you are almost done. All of the complicated automations are complete now. You just have to turn each on. Now your AI agent can call you. You will just have to go back to your HTML, put in the information, and see how the magic goes. All right, with all the workflows up and running, everything turned on, we can test it out and see if it's up and running how we want it to. We need to go to the HTML online viewer, put in our information and submit the info. Then go to the CRM. The data is getting put in here.
Hello, this is Sunny. Please provide a date and time.
Let's go with Wednesday, 12:30 p.m.
Just a sec. The requested time of Wednesday at 12:30 p.m. is not available. However, I have the following alternatives for you. 1. Wednesday at 8 a.m. 2. Wednesday at 1 p.m. Please let me know which option works for you.
1 p.m.
Hold on a sec. Your appointment with Tim has been successfully booked for Wednesday at 1 p.m. If you have any further questions or need assistance, feel free to ask.
Everything okay. Thank you so much. Bye-bye. And now the transcript and everything here will appear. Exactly. And with that, the build of our AI voice agent is complete. I hope you could follow along. If not, feel free to contact me anywhere. I'm always happy to help. If you want to follow along with my blueprints, the first link in the description down below will take you to them. I hope you got some value from this video. If you did, feel free to leave a like and share and subscribe. And if you have any suggestions for future videos, just drop them down below in the comments. And yeah, with that being said, I hope you have a great day and goodbye.